Hey, Jamie Hartley here from Crossfader, and today we're going to get stuck in and have a look at just one of the features built into Pioneer DJ's Rekordbox software. Now, this feature can really help you out if you're mixing on the fly and struggling for what track to play next. It can also help you curate your own mixtapes or sets. It will offer up suggestions of what tracks will work well with each other. Now, this tool can be used and utilized if you're a USB DJ using the export mode. It can also be utilized if you're a controller DJ or use HID mode with the performance version of Rekordbox. Let's get stuck into the software and have a look at how this tool can help you curate better sets and become a better DJ. The tool we're going to use today is the Related Tracks tab, and it's situated here within Rekordbox. It's the same whether you're in export mode or performance mode. First thing we're going to do though is we're going to need to click the gear icon and set up some parameters. Within this box, we can customize the criteria we want to select. There's a few things we need to do first. I'm going to leave this on master player, which means it will always read the master deck and suggest tracks from what is loaded as the master deck. Next thing is the target. So I'm going to leave it as collection. There's going to be more option, but if you want to narrow it down to a specific playlist that the track is currently in, we can select that option there. Like I said, let's leave it as collection. The criteria now, there's a few different options. My preference is BPM and key, but you can choose history. If you've got tracks that you currently play together quite a lot, it will offer up those as a suggestion, or you can have matching, but let's leave it as BPM and key so we can set some actual parameters. We can tick any of these boxes now and choose what we want the criteria to be. I'm going to choose, say, plus and minus 3% in the BPM range. So it will only fluctuate 3%, either plus or minus to the current track that's playing. I could choose related key. We've got a few options. We can choose tracks that are only in the same key, the harmonic minor or major, or even the close keys that would be situated either to the left or the right if you're familiar with the circle of fifths. I'm going to choose related key 2. Again, it will offer up more suggestions while I'm in the mix. We could even say we want to choose tracks within the last 50 days of downloading and adding to our library. Let's see what that comes up with. Let's press OK. I'm going to load this track that I've prepared, Get Funky, and you'll see now that loads of tracks have been added to the Related tab window. How this works is it offers up the closest it can originally at the top of the list. So we've got a track here that is 126 BPM, the exact same as the one we've got loaded, and also in D minor, the same as we've got loaded. It'll then find the next closest track in our library, again 126 BPM, but it's looking at the harmonic equivalent. As we move down through the list, it'll start stretching to slightly different BPMs. Remember, we set our parameter as plus and minus 3%, so it won't go any further than that. And it'll give us the other key signatures that are more than likely to mix with this current track. What we can then do is think, actually, I want to mix this track next, load it in. Now, there isn't much change in the list. That's because both tracks have the same BPM and the same key. Let's look, for example, if we load this one, suddenly the tracks in the list change quite a bit because we've got a new key signature to work from. We can start dragging tracks in and thinking about what we want to play in what order into our playlist. We can drag them across, load the next track, drag it across, load the next track, and just come up with some interesting combinations of music. That's how you would prepare it in export mode, and then we could export this playlist to our USB and go and perform that set in a club or at a party. Okay, so let's have a look at how this works in performance mode, whether you're a controller DJ or whether you use HID mode with CDJs. First thing we're going to need to be aware of is what the master and the slave decks are. Now, only one deck can be the master. You can see the two options here. I can't physically click this one because there's not a track loaded yet. So there's only one option for the master. As you can see, as soon as I hit the master, it's brought up some tracks in our Related Tracks window. That's because in our settings and the criteria, we have chosen for it to read off the current track. We can then choose a track to load into the opposite deck. We can go for the mix as normal. And as soon as we queue up the first track, you'll notice the master deck switches automatically to the opposite side. We'll then get given a new list of tracks that will again work in key, plus or minus 3% of the BPM or whatever parameters you have chosen. We can then load another one into the deck, Mix it, obviously I'm just doing this really quickly. Queue it up and we've got some new tracks loaded into our related tracks, and this will carry on and you can just work out of related tracks to obviously give you inspiration while you're playing. Have a play around with the different parameters and find what works for you. We can add, again, date added, and we'll get maybe less tracks within our related tracks window. It's a really useful tool. Don't overuse it and get reliant on just sticking within this panel here. But again, if you're a bit stuck while you're playing out live in the mix, it's a great way to offer up some suggestions. Remember to like, share and comment on this video if you have a certain way of setting up your criteria or if you found this tip useful.